Welcome everyone to episode 51 of the Thundercrafts podcast, where we forge through the shitstorm that was WCW Thunder. I'm your host, wearing a dress that accentuates my flat chest, no butt and chicken legs, Josh Kaiser. And joining me today, a man whose only athletic background is being a drummer in his high school band, Kyle Hogan.
What's going on, everybody? Man, I felt like this Thunder had a lot of everything, and I can't wait to talk to you about it. Although I felt like, what was it like? I think it was only been like 5-6 matches, and especially how I guess the running times on these are very, very short. It's very weird, and I almost want to say it's almost impressive that they were able to create a 2-hour long show. But how you doing, man?
Well, I'm doing okay. So we are, of course, breaking down Thunder 51. It's February 18th, 1998.
Happy belated birthday.
Oh, yes, thank you. 14-year-old me now, or 13-year-old me? 14-year-old
would be
me.
14-year-old you.
Yeah.
You put 98. You put 98 in the rundown, you moron.
That's why I had myself confused. I was going to say, no, I was 14. But if you went to find Thunder 51 and you had some issues... Good
job, by the way. First of all, high five, because it took me forever.
For fuck's sake, man. The WWE Network updated. And I've been watching it lately on my computer, and there's a WWE app built into that you can download for a Windows operating system. And the fucking keyboard doesn't work. The mouse doesn't work at times. It's unwatchable on the app if you use the computer. You cannot navigate. So then I went through 2 different web browsers to finally find it. And I also have been using it on my phone. Holy shit. It's a fucking mess. It's a terrible UI. What in the fuck is this?
It's like all the things that make it look like Netflix without all of the intelligence of Netflix.
It is so bad.
First of all, try the old way to find Thunder, right? You went to shows, you went to Vault, boom, there's Thunder. You go there. There's literally, you can pick by what year you want to go to, and then there's a whole list, a whole page of all these thumbnails.
The episode numbers and all that. The episode numbers are gone.
So what I had to do when I was on there was I had to search the word Thunder, scroll down to the third thing, which was Thunder, and it just has not even an order, just a bunch of episodes that if I wanted to pick, and then I had to scroll endlessly to the right until I found February 18th, 1999, which I had to know was Thundercrafts, is Thunder 51. That's all of that. It took me let's be honest, guys. It took me maybe an extra minute and a half, but in a world where it used to take me 5 seconds to find an episode, that is a lifetime.
No, I'm going to be honest. It took me longer than a minute and a half. I wasted at least 10 minutes. Probably 15 minutes. I was so fucking pissed off. Of course, you had to re-sign in. This sounds like a first world problem, but this is, they took all the efficiencies of the first one, and I get people will bitch about, anytime a new update for Facebook or Instagram or
right.
Twitter,
we're all crotchety old men that don't like change.
Nobody likes to change, but when eventually it's like, okay, this makes a little bit of sense. This is literally unusable. The Windows platform is unusable right now. I don't know how you watch it, if you tend to go through that platform, or if you just go through the web browser.
I just go through the web browser.
Yeah, try the WWE app after this, and let me know.
It sounds like I don't want
fucking
to.
Awful. Oh god, it's terrible. But enough about the WWE Network. If you got in there and you watched Thunder 51, let's get ready and let's break it down. The show opens up. We get our first replay of the night. It's Hogan on Nitro. He's giving Flair one more chance for the title. He's going to wrestle him that night on Nitro.
Even though he has a match at SuperBrawl, but he's going to say, fuck that. You're getting the match tonight, and that's it.
And then he counts him out. So Hogan retaining his title. Sorry, Flair, you blew your chance. But then Roddy Piper comes out and reminds you that he's still commissioner, apparently. And he's going to grant himself a world title match. Keeping in mind he has a United States title match at SuperBrawl Sunday. But what the hell. Piper's going to lock on the sleeper. It looks like he's about to win this match. And then his opponent on Sunday, Scott Hall, comes in with the taser, and that's going to end that. And then that brings us to Thunder. We are live from Salt Lake City, Utah. And we find out a steel cage is hanging above the ring, Kyle. So that's pretty exciting, right?
Right, and you would think that, it's been there. Obviously, everybody has been updated and let know why it exists. And nope, the commentators have no fucking clue why it's there. I think the last time we had a steel cage on Thunder, exact same thing. They have no idea why there's a steel cage. We're all left in the mystery of it. Yeah. It's one of those funny wrestling tropes of like, oh, what is this doing here? Oh, I don't know. Guess we'll find out later.
Yeah,
Good tease, guys.
Like, we don't know why this is here. I'm like, well, somebody took a lot of time to transport a steel cage, to mount it, to get it ready to hang above hang it up above the rafters there. I'd be pissed if everyone's like, I don't know why it's there. Somebody,
especially when we later find out what it's for. It's not like some climactic thing. It's something that you could easily tease at the beginning of the show. It's not that big of a whoop. It's like and
the best
Ric
part
Flair's
is
here.
Other than they open and show you that, it is not mentioned again until the match, which I just find funny. There's not like somebody doesn't come out and like challenge them or say, oh, this is nothing. Fucking nothing.
Right. If you're going to keep on talking about it throughout the show.
Right. I forgot the cage was there until the end when it was being lowered. I'm like, oh, right, there's a cage. Of course, we find out the tag team tournament is coming to an end this Sunday at SuperBrawl, Kyle, and we're going to see the final contestants tonight and who's going to go, so that's exciting. Of course, Tony Schiavone, Bobby Heenan, and Mike Tenay here. We find out Chris Benoit and Dean Malenko are wrestling Horace, Hogan, and Bryan Adams, and the winner of that is going to go on to wrestle Barry Windham and Kurt Hennig at SuperBrawl. Barry Windham and Kurt Hennig undefeated, so whoever's going to win this match tonight on Thunder is going to have to beat them twice at SuperBrawl. So there's that.
That's why this was a stupid ass fucking tournament. Yeah. That's, like, first of all, here's my big problem is that obviously this is all scripted. You could have easily wrote this correctly, but I guess they want to create a stipulation where it's like, oh, you got to beat the overwhelming odds, to beat it. But to me, it's like, oh, come on, guys, let's just put both people with one loss apiece, put them at the pay-per-view, have winner take all, one single match. Don't convolute an already crazily convoluted tournament.
The other way you do it is you could still say double elimination and then have the two teams going in there both undefeated, and then you've got a 2 out of 3 falls match, which I think is a decent stipulation, right?
I can go with that, but once again, I think the whole thing stems back to what kind of story do you want to tell? Do you want to tell who's the best tag team, or do you want it to be like, does one tag team have to I guess overcome these odds in order to pull off like what would be considered a less than likely chance to beat a team that hasn't lost at all in this whole tournament? Not only you have to beat them, you got to beat them twice, and not only that, the one loss that if it were Malenko and Benoit, they got to take on the team that already had beaten them once in the tournament. So what? Now that I'm kind of thinking about it, I don't mind it. It's still convoluted as all fuck, but I guess if it's going to become something like this, there's at least a story to tell.
There is a story to tell, and then of course commentary team telling another story as they discuss Hogan and Flair. The big match coming up at SuperBrawl for the world title, and then we also find out Goldberg is going to be on Jay Leno tomorrow night
with Kevin Costner.
Yeah, with Kevin Costner, and Goldberg is going to make a challenge that will set the world on fire. It's something they discuss a few more times throughout the night. I decided at some point during the show to just pause. I went to YouTube. I searched.
I did the same
thing. Goldberg on Jay Leno. Kevin Costner's there.
Fucking Felicity. Corpse in it. Like shit, like an asshole.
He was laughing the whole time. And then what the heck? The chick who played Felicity, I can't think of her name right now.
I just know her as Felicity.
Calissa Flockhart. There we go.
Okay.
She's there as well. Goldberg, of course, talking about wrestling, and Jay Leno, they talked about his thing a little bit. And then Goldberg sets $100,000 on the table to wrestle Stone Cold Steve Austin. So that's the big challenge right there.
Was never going to actually happen.
Absolutely not.
It's a big publicity stunt. I would have loved to see it, but once again, it would have been one of those things where, kind of like the new Spider-Man movies. It's like Sony's got to give that, the blessing to let them have a couple of movies, but it's still their property. Be able to kind of, but no, trust me, WCW and WWF were not going to play nice for a promotional, let's get one thing straight. Doing something like that probably would have given both of them a ton of press and a ton of money. But in the end, nobody wants to share in on any of that. So that's why it would never happen.
It's the Bischoff-Vince thing all over again right here is what this is.
Mm-hmm.
After this, we get Tori Wilson letting me back into her hotel room. Says, looks like your meeting went well. Oh, looks like Scott gave you this taser. And then, she's trying to be sexy with the taser and trying to tase me. And I got to be honest, I'm okay with all of it.
I mean, yeah, she was waving around a giant black phallic object that can electrify me. Also, her telling me that she is very proficient in that item. 14-year-old me would have been 100% down for this.
I can tell you what I'm not 100% down with, and it's watching the Canyon Raven skit that we saw last week. The whole fucking skit about Canyon walks up to the house. How many homes do they have? His mom, Raven's mom, is going to her board meeting. Why the fuck? Throughout the evening, we're going to watch all those clips again from, them getting money out at the bank to going to Versace to coming back home.
It's Versace, by the way.
Why? Why are we seeing this again?
I don't know. The funny thing is, if they did this also on Monday Nitro, which, I mean, there's no reason for me to think that they wouldn't do that.
Right.
This would be the fourth time we've seen this, which is 3 times too many.
Good Lord.
And it's completely unnecessary. It's a live show. I would say, even though you don't have control, I don't know. I guess if they already knew that they only had 5 matches to do on the card, they've got to fill it up with something. I get it. There's a lot of guys. There's gonna be a lot of recap and promos and video packages today. I mean, like I said, there is wrestling here, but they had to fill up this live show. I kind of feel bad for the crowd. Just if you were to go in knowing how many matches were on the card, obviously not knowing how good the matches would be. But if there's been a lot of Thunders we talked where it's been like 8, 9, 10, 11 matches, I think this has 5, and it's I don't know. It's to me like I really hope that quality is the quality is better than the quantity this week.
Right. After this clip, we hear the Wolfpack music plays. Crowd goes nuts. And then out comes Disco Inferno.
How dare this crowd boo him?
Boos like crazy. He's going to get into the ring, and he's going to introduce Roddy Scott Hall. And out comes Scott Hall in a kilt, who's going to curtsy lovingly to the camera. And then he's going to introduce Disco Inferno as the newest member of the Wolfpack.
Good. It's Disco official. Inferno's... Thunder Buddies, shut the fuck up. He's the Wolfpack.
I'm still not buying it. Disco's going to talk shit about Booker T. Apparently, they've got a match coming up at SuperBrawl. Scott then is going to say, get in, cut his promo on Piper. He's going to take off the kilt, toss it into the crowd. He then looked like he was going to say more, but he gets cut off by the Wolfpack music. That's kind of your promo. The promo was fine, but I was watching this and I had a thought, and it's this whole Disco Inferno thing where he's this lackey for the NWO. It looks like he thinks he's a legit member. They kind of look like they're just laughing along, giving, like when they got him slapped the one time by DDP. Like, I feel like they're just, they're treating him, kind of like a joke, but he's not in on it kind of thing. And I really, I kind of went back to February of last year and how Louis Spicoli was kind of walking around with Scott Hall. It was almost Scott Hall's like, he was a heel and people didn't like him, but Scott Hall kind of kept him around with the whole Larry Zbyszko thing, and he was kind of like the joke and stuff. And I really wonder if Louis Spicoli doesn't die, if he's in this Disco Inferno role here in '99.
We have talked a bit in the past about how when we went back and kind of like looked at the parallels between 1998 and 1999 and how there are a lot of odd similarities. Here's another one where we went into January, February of 98 with dissension among the ranks of the NWO and then splitting off into 2 factions. Then you've got this B team and the NWO Elite, and those guys not really, seeing eye to eye. for a little while, and then they formed back together, and it just now still feels like they're two separate entities, but they're still ultimately loyal to Hogan. That's like really the only difference. And now you're right. You're looking back at this now. Scott Hall has like this weird buddy cop thing where he's obviously the guy in charge, and you got like this doofus, this lovable doofus that thinks he's in on it, and that everybody thinks he's cool. And it's kind of like one of those stupid like mean teen movies where they vote for the loser to be like the prom queen until she finds out she's the butt of the joke. That's how it kind of feels like it. But I think ultimately Disco, I don't remember Disco really finding out he was ever been brought. I think he's just loving that he's on TV.
Oh, I mean, I think Disco in general like is all fine with it. But yeah. After this, we see another Raven Canyon segment. Then we move to our next match of the night. Lash LaRue back in action here against Chavo Guerrero. We interrupted this match though early on to go to the backstage, and we see Lex Luger and Liz coming in, driving up in a limo. They kind of laugh at Rey Mysterio, who's walking into the arena. Then Liz is going to get out of the limo, and Lex is going to start to get out, but Ray kicks the door in, and then Liz calls Ray an idiot, and then they kind of end that, and we find out then that segment was not live and happening right then as breaking news, but happened earlier in the day. So why are we interrupting a match to show this?
What a dick move, man. Lash LaRue and Chavo didn't deserve that.
No, especially when we're seeing Canyon Raven segments that we saw the week before. Like, you could have fit this in anywhere. Now, if it was supposed to be like a live segment, like, okay. But for them to break through to do that, and then for them to come back and Tony to acknowledge, like, oh, I found out that actually happened earlier tonight. Like, what? So then that leads to a lot of discussion about the hair versus mask match coming up on Sunday. Heenan starts joking about Liz wearing wigs, and as for the match though, I thought I can't not say his name today, but Lash LaRue, I thought he looked better in this match. I think Chavo's a good, enhancement's the wrong word, but I think he's a good partner for him here. Eventually Lash LaRue is going to get kind of hooked up in like a Tree of Woe situation, but like dangling over the ropes above the apron towards the outside. Chavo's then going to kick him repeatedly, and that's going to cause Chavo to get disqualified. I really thought that was a strange disqualification, but then Chavo's going to toss Charles Robinson. He's going to snap. Of course, Kidman's going to come in for the save. Chavo's then going to throw Kidman into Lash LaRue, who finally is going to be unhooked from his Tree of Woe. Chavo's going to drop a tornado DDT on the outside on Kidman, and that's kind of the whole segment of the match. I actually gave the match 2 stars because I was enjoying it despite the weird ending and also the interruption. And I think LaRue looked a lot better, but overall I was not crazy about how that match ended. Not that I care about a disqualification, but how it was ended in a disqualification.
Actually, honestly, I think that was the only thing I liked about the match. I gave it a 1 3/4. This seemed like, especially with the hard cutaway, which, by the way, you never do a hard cutaway in the middle of wrestling action unless it's like really short and simple. But this was like over a minute of just really a nothing thing. Although just for a little bit of background, because we're not going to know about this because the next time we talk about Thunder is going to be after SuperBrawl. Lex Luger suffers like a pectoral or some sort of injury. Which sucks because obviously he's on the card in a pretty meaningful match, and he can't wrestle at SuperBrawl. So what they did was they did this little video package where you see, the super babyface that is Rey Mysterio kick a door into Lex Luger,
right?
And
this
injure
makes
him.
No sense. And then commentary team's trying to set.
The best part is yelling "Thug Life" as he runs away.
That's your baby face tag team right there. That is your David versus Goliath right there, and he literally injures Lex Luger and puts him out of this match for Sunday.
Right, and so I get that was important to show. Still agree that you could have just not done the Raven Canyon rerun
1,000 other times during this show to show that, though.
Exactly. I think the main reason why I had to give it this, like I said, the The DQ I understood because I still think that people don't really totally get that Chavo was a heel. I think that this whole DQ finish was kind of to establish the heel persona for him and his, ultimately, bringing out bring out Kidman for the match, which is good. Like I said, there would have been no reason for Kidman to come out. I don't think he gives a shit about Lash LaRue, but once again, Kidman is the baby face. He doesn't want to see anybody just getting the shit kicked out of defenselessly. He also beat up Charles Robinson. That's going to obviously just enrage Kidman, apparently. And so he's got to come out here and try to look like he's the good guy, even though he ultimately gets beat up too by Chavo. Chavo just looks good. Chavo's going into SuperBrawl looking great. So I have no qualms with the DQ finish because ultimately Chavo still looked good after it. The match itself, it was okay, but I could never really get into it and feel into it because the match was short and the cutaway kind of fucked it up. So I couldn't give it 2 stars.
Fair enough. After the match, we get another. This is Raven and Canyon at Versace, and then we go to our second replay of the night. This is Ric Flair telling his limo driver Eric Bischoff to stay with him all night long, and Eric Bischoff, as his limo driver, is a terrible idea. Bischoff is going to drive them into a field of Hummers, where a bunch of people in ski masks, including Hogan in his Fu Manchu.
I can't unsee this. He opens the door and like, first of all, do you really need the stocking cap at all during this whole thing? Like, his mustache is going through the fibers of the fucking
It's like straight out of like a cartoon, right? Like it's so obviously hilarious here. Nash, of course, is there. The rest of the NWO is there. Flair basically is going to get his ass kicked. He's going to be beaten down senseless while a helicopter shines a light and like documents the whole thing.
The whole illegal action of assault.
They finally leave his body there to rot, and some dude in a cowboy hat picks him up in a pickup truck and drives him back to the arena, in which Ric Flair gets out, stumbles his way, crawling through the crowd, over the guardrail, back into a ring full of NWO to get his ass kicked again. It was a really long replay. To your point, we shortened matches to see this. I feel like they could have done a lot less than they did here to prove the point. But that's your segment. So Flair got his ass kicked a lot on Monday night.
Man, if only Flair had aligned himself with a couple of guys, like create a stable of guys that might have been able to support him instead of getting his ass kicked 1-on-12 on Nitro. I just thought it was funny that he got his ass kicked and his only answer was to crawl with, I think, like a broken handle of an axe to the ring with no backup, knowing that he's going in there to take on everybody and gets his shit kicked in. But not only, Flair is crazy. We know that. I can see Flair running into the ring with 12 guys. I can see that, him getting his ass kicked.
Right.
The thing that is the most egregious act is thinking that Eric Bischoff would be a good limo driver and
right.
would totally be like, oh yeah, sure, I'm not going to just leave you for dead in the middle of a field. Which, by the way, I didn't know that there were country fields in Tampa, Florida. I'll have to look around. That did not look like Tampa, Florida. That just looked like a pasture in the middle of Ohio.
He could have driven them. Once you get into the Panhandle more, it gets kind of swampy and shit there. So he could have driven them out of town a bit.
I'll leave that to you. You're more of the well-seasoned traveler than I am.
After this, we get Scott Steiner asking some dude outside of the arena if DDP is here tonight, and the dude says no.
Great promo. Moving on.
And then we go back to Canyon and Raven. They've returned home, so finally we can put a rest to the Canyon Raven segments. And then we get a promo here. It's Bryan Adams and Horace Hogan. This is as 1980s as it comes. They're sitting there cutting a promo, looking straight at the camera. They're talking about it's down to the 12th hour of the tournament. They got the size and the strength and the psychological advantage over Benoit and who's his partner? Malenko. There we go.
Sorry. Yeah, Benoit Malenko.
They talked about Mongo needs a seeing eye dog. Arn is a cigarette boy in county jail. Let's go on, and he tells him to go on and get. I got to be honest. It felt like I said, it felt like an 80s, early 90s wrestling promo.
It felt like a Saturday morning WWF Superstars.
Yes, and I fucking loved everything about this.
know what the best part about it is that the way their faces, if you really want to see all the old promos, the guy who's talking is always looking directly in the camera. His partner is always showing like a profile, like the side of his face, looking away from the camera and just kind of smirking or laughing or
rubbing his hands
all of this,
together.
yeah, rubbing his hands and clenching his, cracking his knuckles. Like if I were to go and look for another promo like this is like just take these two guys out and add whoever the fuck, like from that time. It was so good. Throw in Tito Santana, some other guy.
I mean, and it's like, don't get me like, not only, it's not just that I was nostalgic for some of this 1980s kind of promo, 1990s promo, but I have been the first to shit on Horace and Bryan Adams for being terrible on the microphone. I enjoyed, like, I thought they cut a good promo here. Like, I thought this was all around a great promo.
Dude, I completely agree. I all I thought to myself was like, they better give equal time to the next to the other group.
After this, though, we move into our next match. It's Chris Jericho and Juventud Guerrera. Jericho gets on the microphone first. He apologizes for beating Saturn and making Saturn wear a dress. He then brings out Ralphus. Ralphus is dressed in a pink dress that looks like something my grandmother would wear. He's even got long dangly earrings. And then Ralphus is going to hang out outside the ring. And this is going to lead to, at one point, trying to give Juventud a kiss, but Juvi's going to break free. He's going to basically kill Ralphus. And I got to say, the crowd was pretty hot. They were behind Juvi in this match. Juvi had some near 3 counts. That said, out of nowhere, Jericho's going to lock on the Lion Tamer. He's going to win this match. I gave the match 2.5 stars. I thought it was really shaping up to be a great match. And probably one of the better matches we've seen on Thunder in a while. I just thought it ended a little abruptly, and because it was just getting so hot, and I'm like, I don't know, I think they needed like another 1.5 minutes to end that a little bit better. But overall, I still thought it was a very great match.
I also gave it 2.5 stars, but a little bit differently. I thought it was very highly entertaining in a different formula. Like I said, this was not like an 8 to 10 minute classic that we know these two could go, and they could put a really good match. But there's no stakes. No one's the cruiserweight champion. You know, like it's kind of one of those things where it was kind of just a weird match. It wasn't even a grudge match. It's just these two guys are just going to wrestle. There really wasn't a whole lot of storytelling other than just, you know, Ralphus doing Ralphus things and, you know, being dressed up in a dress and all that other stuff. So they had a shorter match with more excitement in the form of the shenanigans. But there were some decent spots placed a little, you know, here and there. I really had no issues. Would I, as a wrestling purist, love to see a longer match with these two guys? Sure, but I've seen that match already. It's not like I'm craving it for it again.
I don't need it to be that much longer. I thought that it was just I thought it just ended a little fast. Like, I thought they could have given it another minute or so, and it would have been perfect way to wrap it up.
Well, I mean, hey, we gotta watch more Raven and Canyon, video promos. So,
yeah, no kidding. After the match, we get DDP Scott Steiner promo pushing, of course, their match for Sunday involving, you know, Scott Steiner basically stalking, raping, and manslaughtering Kimberly. We then followed up. Buff Bagwell comes into the ring. We find out Buff has got his release from the doctor, and he can finally wrestle again. So that's good to see. I miss Buff in the ring.
I do too.
He's then going to introduce Scott Steiner. Scott's going to come out, and if you notice the graphic, it mentions that he's a television champion, which is a great reminder because he doesn't come out with the belt, and you almost fucking forget it because he's never defending it when we watch Thunder. He's then going to talk about all the hillbillies and the cheap seats. He talks about him being, you know, the big booty daddy, all that kind of stuff. Then he's going to get on there and talk about Diamond Dallas Trash. So fucking gotcha, DDP. He then makes a stipulation that if he beats DDP at SuperBrawl, he gets Kimberly for the next 30 days. And he said the last time a woman had him for 30 days, she still calls him her big booty daddy. And then he tells WCW to send someone out to fight him. And apparently Buff knows who that somebody is already because he's going to introduce Bobby Blaze. This is going to become a total squash match. Bobby Blaze is going to tap to the Steiner recliner. I gave it a star and 3/4. It was what it was. It was just a way to squash Bobby Blaze, make Scott Steiner look strong, and then even afterwards, Scott Steiner's going to beat the shit out of him as they stretcher job him. And at one point, he even chokes out Blaze, and Buff says that's what Kimberly sounds like. So that's kind of funny. But that's your Scott Steiner, Bobby Blaze match / segment there.
Yeah, I didn't even rate this because I felt like it just kind of blended into the whole promo. This was not a squash. This was an ultra squash. Bobby Blaze came down. First of all, Bobby Blaze is wearing a Bobby Blaze t-shirt. I want to know where the fuck I can get a Bobby Blaze t-shirt. And second of all, we've seen the stretcher jobs before with Steiner. I'm just convinced he hates stretchers and just sees red like a bull. He sees a stretcher, he has to destroy it. He's done this multiple times before with other guys he's put on stretchers. So I just thought that was funny that they kept that going, that he just hates stretchers and they keep on putting them out there whenever he beats up people, and he still just goes out and ruins all the stretchers. But yeah, Bobby Blaze, you have a t-shirt and I want it.
Add it to the list. After the match, we get a tag team match. Rey Mysterio and Conan wrestling Hector Garza and Silver King. Pretty exciting tag team match here. We're going to get Conan eventually getting a hot tag. He's going to clear house with double rolling clotheslines. We get reverse Bronco Busters from Rey Mysterio, face smashers for Garza, and then Conan is going to ultimately monkey flip Rey up into, which is going to let Rey execute a Hurricanrana on Silver King. That's how they're going to win the match. I gave it 2.25 stars. It was a fun match. I think Rey Mysterio and Conan have great chemistry together. I think they look great together. The fans are hot for them. I got to be honest, they should have put them in the tag team tournament and not in this hair versus mask match because, man, they're over right now as a tag team.
I agree. 2.5 stars. Even though Silver King wasn't the legal man who got pinned, but we'll go ahead and just let that go, I guess. Apart from that, very fast-paced match, a lot of offense, very little time to stop and breathe, which was nice to see. It was also really nice to see, and I think we've said this a couple times, we will call out bullshit when we see it, or if someone is, just looking like a bag of wet cement in the ring. Conan looks good. I'm sorry, he's looking really good in the ring. I feel like this whole tag team with Rey has really revitalized him. I think it's also just because when you're in there with Rey, no matter how good you look, you're always going to be the fat guy on the tag team. So I think he just slimmed down as much as he could, but he looks good. He did a cool flip from the middle rope with a deep arm drag twist on Garza. The very beginning of the match, Garza and Silver King put on some really good offense on Rey, which I think that's just Rey to me is, like I said, the ultimate wrestling buddy that, you always have that one friend that weighs 50 pounds less than the rest of you, and you have get to throw that guy around on a trampoline. And now we've mentioned in the past, Rey gets his licks in, and then, Conan comes in and does the hot tag and clears house. We talked about that too as well. It's a fantastic, as far as the chemistry goes, it's a fantastic formula for these guys. And I don't remember these guys ever being any real stable tag team, but I'm enjoying it while it lasts.
After this, we get Chris Benoit and Dean Malenko cutting their 1980s wrestling promo. They talk about January 4th, 1999. That's when Hogan and Nash killed what it meant to be a champion, and that they're going to show you all tonight. Tells Horace and Adams that, bring it on. Your best won't be enough. Overall, I really thought the Horace and Bryan Adams promo was much more entertaining.
It just seemed like they had more. Well, first of all, it's sad to say this. Even Horace is more colorful than Benoit or Malenko. Benoit and Malenko are just no nonsense. They're not. I wouldn't say they're crazy charismatic. Whereas Horace can fake it, and honestly, God, Bryan Adams can dish it. I mean, he's been in the business long enough with different angles and different characters he's been. He knows how to cut a promo like this. And and Horace is just along for the ride. I'm sure he's learned a thing or two in the back. But Malenko and Benoit are just they're so similar to one another in the sense that they are like, hey, no bullshit. Actions speak louder than words. Whereas, Horace and Adams, even though they're both bigger, tougher guys, they've been recently a little bit more of a comic relief setting with the NWOB team. So it's going to be a little bit more lighthearted. They're gonna talk more shit. Whereas Malenko and Benoit are going to be like, I'm rubber, you're glue. And that's kind of how this felt, was that, hey, we're going to have to overcome these odds. And, they sound like they're already not going to win. They're like, if we win, it's going to be a big victory, and we're going to come out on top. And, that we're going through adversity and all the blood, the sweat, the tears, the classic shit you're going to hear. So it felt more canned of a response. Whereas Horace and Adams felt like it was more of a off the cuff kind of rip, which I enjoyed more.
Yep, no, definitely. After this, we get Hall and Piper, their promo as they build up for the United States title match at SuperBrawl. And then we go to our next match of the night, Booker T and Jerry Flynn. Jerry Flynn, the enhancement talent, it seems like. Of course, Disco Inferno, who's feuding with Booker T, he's going to come out. He's going to cheer on Jerry Flynn. As Disco Sucks chants are loud and proud in this match. Disco is going to get up on the apron, and then Jerry Flynn is going to kick him off the apron. So Jerry Flynn, of course, the heel in this match, is now getting the babyface pops as he takes out the Disco.
And Bobby Heenan lost his shit. He laughed so hard seeing this. But I just mentioned that just because Bobby was pretty quiet in this match, and then all of a sudden this happened, and Bobby just uncontrollably just laughed hysterically about the fact that Disco he woke up for sure.
We get an axe kick and what might have been the slowest 110th Street Slam I have ever seen. I think
it felt like the Alabama Slam.
I feel like Booker T underestimated how large of a man Jerry Flynn is. Flynn is actually going to recover from the 110th Street Slam. Disco is then going to pull down the ropes, which brings Booker to the outside. Booker T is then going to take a chart buster and then a spinning heel kick from Jerry Flynn. And Jerry Flynn is going to be your winner, Kyle. I gave this match 2.5 stars because apparently Jerry Flynn is on a winning streak, which, by the way, I don't think he's ever won a single match on Thunder, so I'm not sure where that streak is at. But the match itself was just fine. But I love that they were able to give Flynn a clean, I use that word loosely, win tonight and it helps push Disco being the sneaky heel. Booker T then, kind of a little bit of a peril as they head into Sunday. I got to be honest, I thought it was a Jerry Flynn job match here to make Booker T look good. So 2.5 stars because I'm just happy that they booked a little bit of a surprise here in this match.
I don't know, man. I mean, you're going to rank this higher than the Ray Conan tag match. I mean, you do you. I gave it 2 stars. Match was fine. Definitely, Disco getting one up on Booker was a nice way to go into SuperBrawl. I agree with that. Good storytelling, and Jerry Flynn gets a pinfall victory. I guess it could have been somebody else other than Jerry Flynn. I mean, no offense to Jerry Flynn. And okay, fine, he has a winning streak that I'm not fucking aware of. But I mean,
I don't know who's aware of it.
I mean, this to me could have been like, put a good match in there with, it could go either way, where, put like Jericho versus Booker T, or hey, Norman Smiley against Booker T, and Norman Smiley gets a win in a kind of underhanded way with the help of Disco Inferno. I think that would have been fine, but I don't know. I think Jerry Flynn was a weird choice to go over.
So I'm bringing it up right now. I'm just out of curiosity. This winning match, let's see. Jerry Flynn, January 19th, he actually won against Prince Iaukea on Saturday night. So, okay.
Ooh, sorry, Prince.
Then he loses. On Saturday night in February, he beat Bobby Blaze. Then he is defeated on Thunder, defeated on WCW Live. He defeats the Cat on WCW Live the next day. Then the Cat beats him. Perry Saturn beats him. Yeah, I don't know. He beats the Disciple on Saturday night. And then, of course, he beats Booker T then coming into this match. So
2 in a row is a streak, I guess.
Right. In the year of 1999, he is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He has 5 wins, this being his 5th win out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. He's won 5 out of 11 matches, most of them on Saturday night or this WCW Live, whatever that is. But as far as Nitro, he's never even on Nitro between since the year started, and he's jobbing on Thunder every week. So congrats to Jerry Flynn on winning on Saturday night, and now here on Thursday night, beating the Disciple and then Booker T. So I guess he's on a streak. So technically you were right, Shivani. All right. After this match, we get Mean Gene in the ring. He's going to call up Ric Flair. Of course, Ric Flair coming out. He's got sunglasses on, Band-Aids taping up cuts and bruises on his face. Gene's going to apologize to Ric Flair on behalf of America and the world. Flair's going to say everybody in the NWO, Nash, the Outsiders, everybody are cool, but Hogan is not cool. He basically says on his worst day he could kick Hogan's ass. Gene basically apologizes and says he's ashamed to be part of wrestling for what happened on Monday night. Ric Flair is going to go back to his old shtick of naming every guy in the 70s and 80s that he's wrestled and beaten, and then says to be the man, you have to beat Ric Flair. Is this the first time he's done the to be the man, you got to beat the man? Because I felt like
no.
Okay.
He's done this in the past. No, to be the man, you got to beat the man is long ago. Like that.
Okay.
That has been well established.
It felt like he didn't say it the way he normally says it. So I'm like, is he like workshopping it here? I was not sure what was going on.
Yeah, it was. The whole problem is, I think, because he tried to set this up with the whole, in Hollywood, there's a saying that if you got, in order to beat the man, you got to beat Hogan, which is not a saying, by the way, and totally just made up. But so he said, like, well, as far as I'm concerned, in order for you to be the man, you got to beat Ric Flair. But yeah, to be the man, you got to beat the man. He did that promo back in the 80s. So to be the man is a long time ago. In fact, there's I think an autobiography. Okay, never mind. The book was written in 2004, but to be the man, you got to beat the man is a quote from when he was in the NWA.
Well, and that would have been my guess, but just the way that played out, I'm like, okay, maybe that's not, maybe that's where it started, and he took it from that, because it was just, I don't know, it was just random, but oh well. After that, we go back to Tori. She's wrapped in a blanket. Looks like we just got done having sex. She's going to ask what we're going to have for dinner. She apologizes for hurting me. So in turn, I give her tickets to SuperBrawl, which makes her super excited, and then says, we got to figure out what she's going to wear. All of her friends are going to be jealous because she's going to SuperBrawl, and runs to the bathroom.
Man, I wish I could have gotten away with that in 2019. All right. As far as giving tickets to a pay-per-view to my wife and being like, and seeing how excited she would be. I don't think it would pass off as well if I was Tori Wilson's girlfriend or wife or boyfriend or husband.
Right.
Sorry.
And then we're going to go to our main event, the tag team tournament semifinal. Dean Malenko, Chris Benoit wrestling Horace and Bryan Adams. And this is the cage match, Kyle, the one that they haven't talked about since the beginning of the night.
It's once again, not shocking at this point. We have one match left in the whole show. This is literally the closer. I would have just lost it if they just forgot about the cage in general. And then just said, like, good night, everybody. And you're like, what the fuck was the cage for then?
Well, I said, I had forgotten all about the cage until they're like, they're lowering the cage for this. I'm like, oh, right, this.
And it wasn't even like a big announcement. It's like, oh, and just so you know, we've been told now by Ric Flair that there's been some, NWO getting in there and, changing the outcomes of the matches, so that he wanted to have a cage match. Like you couldn't have found that out at the beginning of the show, but whatever. It's wrestling. I don't know why. Obviously we're here to laugh at the reality of things when it's fucking professional wrestling, but still, you gotta call it when you see it.
Yeah, and do you remember there being a lot of tag team cage matches where you're actually tagging in your partner?
No, not necessarily. Usually they're like tornado matches where everyone's just kind of beating each other up.
Right. This whole thing felt weird to me in that regard. But it worked. I gotta admit, this match worked. There's a lot of back and forth. Hogan is going to drop the Hogan leg drop, which he must not have the skills quite like Hollywood yet. The match early on was a lot of Benoit getting double teamed, but then he's gonna, of course he's gonna get out of it, drop a huge German suplex to Horace. Dean's gonna take a hot tag. He's gonna put in the cloverleaf, but Horace is gonna drop in the save. We get a double, catapult slingshot on Bryan Adams. They're going to use the cage. Horace Hogan's going to be on a crossface, but which this part makes me laugh is Horace is locked in the crossface, and Adams decides to break it up, not by just kicking him, but dropping a leg drop on Benoit to break it up, which I feel like is a weird way to do it. Of course, then we find out that Bryan Adams is actually the legal man, so
as is Dean Malenko.
Vince eventually is going to come on the outside. He's got a steel chair in his hand, so the NWO, are they going to get shenanigans even though there's a cage going on? Benoit is going to get lawn darted at one point into the cage. Malenko's going to get scooped up, and when he's getting scooped up, his legs hit Charles Robinson, which is going to knock him out. And, of course, you've seen that move before where, the inadvertent pickup and it knocks the ref out, and a lot of times it's really poorly executed. I thought it was very smooth here. Like, it was really well done.
I agree.
Of course, then Vince is going to come into the cage. He's got the chair with Robinson out. They toss Benoit out of the cage. This is going to, Benoit and Vince are then going to wrestle on the outside. Charles Robinson seemed like he was kind of with it at that point, sort of watching what was going on. Benoit, though, is going to determine to get back into this match. He's going to start climbing up the cage. Charles Robinson's going to grab the chair from Bryan Adams, so he can't do it. Eventually, Chris Benoit's going to do a flying fucking headbutt from the top of the cage, which keep in mind, this is 1999. You don't see that shit. You don't see that shit much today. You sure as hell didn't see it a lot back then. Malenko
or on Thunder.
Right. Oh, not even. Yeah, exactly. Or on Thunder. Dean Malenko is then going to fall on Bryan Adams. They're going to get the 3 count. My breakdown does not do justice to this match. I gave it 3.5 stars, and I really was expecting kind of a trash match here, maybe a quick interference or just a really pointless use of the cage. Could not have been more wrong. They looked phenomenal. Bryan Adams and Horace, fucking all-stars today. Between the promo, they looked great in this match. Really, all-around great performance. Chris Benoit, great, doing the flying headbutt. If this wasn't the best Thunder main event, it's right up there in the 51 episodes that we've seen. And I thought when I graded it 3.5 stars, I'm like, am I giving this too high of a grade? And then I saw your grade.
I gave it 3 3/4. I almost gave this 4. I think the only reason why I didn't give this 4 stars because I'm like, I can't give a Horace Bolter match 4 stars.
Right,
like,
it's really hard to
do it.
It's really hard to do that. But
who would have thought an NWO B team? That's the thing. Like I feel bad because I think ultimately, once you get to that 4-star, it's either got to be a real grudge, like, penultimate or, whatever, climax to a storyline or a world title's on the line, something not like who gets to go face Barry Windham and Kurt Hennig at SuperBrawl for the tag titles. But either way, hell of a match. It had a little bit of everything. You had peril, you had near falls, you had outside interference in a cage match. You had, once again, I'll say it, you had Horace looking like a half decent wrestler. You had big spots. You had probably the biggest spot we've seen on Thunder with that flying headbutt from the top. And it looked, first of all, it looked fluid. It looked beautiful. It looked painful. Every bit of that looked like
it really did.
Like, it kind of makes you think about the Bowflex at that point sometimes. Right. And I know I shouldn't laugh about that, but my God, I mean, he did sacrifice his body in a lot of his matches. And here's another example of it. For this simply to be able to go to SuperBrawl just so you could take on Wyndham and Henning twice. They really pulled out all the stops, and I'll bet money that the match or matches or whatever, 2 out of 3 or whatever they do at SuperBrawl for the actual title will not touch what this match was. Not even close. Great effort by everyone involved. Even the commentary was crazy into this match. Great storytelling was done. Really, honestly, this is, I think, 3 3/4 or 4-star is about as high as this match could have even had. The ceiling was about 4 stars, and I gave it almost, in my eyes, a perfect score for what this match could have had.
Coming into that, though, if I would have told you that this is the main event, I would have said, in a ceiling in a perfect world, I would never have rated this match higher than 3 stars. I would never have seen a scenario where, and here we are talking about it as one of the best main events, if not the best main event, and one of the best matches we've seen on Thunder, all things considered.
And with the fact that the stakes were that one of them gets to go to SuperBrawl,
yeah,
for a chance at the tag titles.
But in all seriousness, this is the go-home show for Thunder. This has to be one of the better go-home shows, right?
I think so. I mean, I think most of the matches, whether they were short or not really that exciting, I think you showcased almost everybody that has a storyline. You know, you have Chavo Guerrero, who's going to take on Kidman. You saw both of them on the show. You had, I think Jericho and Hoovy were kind of the only guys that...
Well, Jericho talks shit about Saturn. He's got a match against Saturn coming up, so he cuts a promo at least. And
he does cut.
And that's kind of, I mean, you only get a promo from Scott Hall, you get a promo from DDP and Steiner, or Steiner, not DDP, right?
Right.
And you get so I mean, you get some promos, but like, yeah, I mean, there was
a lot. This Thunder definitely lets you know what was going on that was of some sort of relevancy going into SuperBrawl. Everybody had something to say.
Even Flair's there cutting a promo about Hogan. So like, I think all of the matches either had a promo discussing it or had matches or the people there kind of getting into it in one way or another with one another.
Right, and we know that Tori Wilson is going to be a SuperBrawl, so I'm watching.
That's right. Yeah, so, I mean, I kind of gave my thoughts on it. I thought it was one of the better go-home shows. The main event really blew my mind. I wish they would have built up the cage a little bit and why it was there and all that, other than just announcing at the beginning and then the end. But I really thought, you know, it was solid. It was a good Thunder. So yeah, that's kind of what did I mean? You've talked a little bit about it, like overall, what were your thoughts on this Thunder?
Well, we don't even. It's not just saying that this was a good Thunder. You know, saying comparatively. No, I just think, you know, in a vacuum, this was a good Thunder. Like, I know we've had a couple of meh or bad Thunders recently, and we've had our opinions about it. But as far as a go home show, and you know, as far as just really the substance that we got from the show, yeah, we only had 5 or 6 matches, but they all were meaningful. They all told a good story. They all led into, you know, who might have like a psychological advantage going into SuperBrawl. But yeah, the main event, man, great way to end the show. The wrestling action itself, I thought was, you know, okay to maybe a little bland. We saw Booker T put over Jerry Flynn. Bobby Blaze got ultra squashed. A lot of very short matches, otherwise that may have been half decent, but not much story was told. Outside of Chavo establishing his heel persona. But once again, some of the franticness as far as the Ray Conan match I enjoyed. This thing was chock full of promos because we had to make sure that everything about SuperBrawl was laid out nice for, you know, the people that are watching TBS and watching wrestling. But yeah, I don't understand why we're seeing Raven and Canyon shit for at least the 3rd time. And as always, you know, I can't get enough of Tori Wilson. I can't wait for her to be. Although I don't know. I mean, I know she's going to be a valet soon, but I think I just want her to be in video promos, just telling me how cool I am. Like, that's really what I want more than anything.
Can't argue that. And what I want more than anything is for all of our listeners to go out there, subscribe to our show, leave us reviews, let us know how we're doing, and then you know, Go hit us up on social media, Facebook, Twitter, all of that. We can interact with you there. Let us know what you think about Thunder 51, what you thought about the WWE Network, and what a piece of trash update it was. And then, of course, go check out Thunder 52 if you can find it. It'll be February 25th, 1999. Of course, also check out SuperBrawl 9. We'll get the culmination of Flair and Hogan, the match we've been anticipating and waiting for years and years and years, as well as Hair vs. Mask, the tag team tournament finale, Booker T and Disco Inferno. It just
Thank
gets
you.
better
God, I was about to call you out.
Better and better. And then we'll be right back here next week to break down Thunder 52. For Kyle Hogan, I'm Josh Kaiser, and we'll see you next time on the Thunder Craps podcast.
We are big, bad, booty, daddingly out of time. See ya.